Happy Monday, Tigers, and welcome back to the world's greatest elementary. Tigers, today is the final day to get any remaining Fun Run pledges into the PTA to count for your total and our school total for pledges. We are so close to our goal. With the help of an adult, if you have any remaining calls to make to the people who make donation pledges, please do that. We are so proud of all of our Tigers and how well you have done in supporting our PTA, and we look forward to celebrating all of our successes and awarding those prizes in the weeks to come.
Yes. All right, Tigers, today is the last day of March. That means it's time to recognize our March Students of the Month who went above and beyond in showing the trait of being strategic problem solvers. These are students who can see the problem and figure out solutions. Teachers and staff will be awarding certificates over the next few days, and then on Thursday morning, after Mrs. Christensen's announcements, Students of the Month will be called to the courtyard and have their picture taken with their certificates. Of course, we will show those pictures right here on Tiger TV after spring break, and we'll post them on the Student of the Month display board in the 500 hallway leading to the Commons. And now that we are starting April tomorrow, that means it's time to begin a new trait. For the month of April, we'll be focusing on the trait of being creative innovators. These are students who think of great new ideas. We are so looking forward to seeing all of our Tigers working on the trait of being creative innovators in the month of April.
All right, last Thursday, our fourth grade classes under the direction of Mrs. Moore put on their evening music concert, Recorders and Rock and Roll. They did an amazing job. Congratulations to each of our fourth graders for a terrific performance, and a huge thank you to Mrs. Moore, our fourth grade teachers, and all of the other staff members who were there supporting our fourth grade musicians. Here are some pictures from the fourth grade concert.
And like you heard me say earlier, April starts tomorrow. That also means it's time to start turning in those March Pause reading logs. Please get those turned in online or right here at school starting tomorrow, and have those turned in by this Friday, April 4th. And then starting tomorrow, April 1st, you can start tracking all of your at-home reading time on the April Pause logs or any calendar or log that works for you. Remember, any time that you are reading to yourself, an adult, a sibling, a pet, or anytime someone is reading to you, all of that counts for pause minutes. So keep on reading, Tigers.
Yep, and remember the class, it'll go from Mrs. Cam's class to the next class. Amazing, the big shadow pause reader. All right, this is a big week for our fifth graders. They're heading to Camp Casey on Whidbey Island. We have been sending students to Camp Casey for over 50 years, and we're so excited that our fifth grade students will be heading there this week. Fifth graders, remember to be at school with your gear and luggage by 7:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning. We hope that all of our fifth graders have an amazing time at Camp Casey.
Tigers, don't forget that all of next week is spring break. We will not have school from April 7th to April 11th. We hope that you all have a fun and relaxing week, and classes will resume on Monday, April 14th.
All right, Tigers, we have all of our midweek recess programs this week. On Tuesday and Thursday, there's Recess Club in the Tiger Den during lunch recesses. On Wednesday, there'll be Workout Wednesday during lunch recess. And also on Wednesday, we have Lunch Bunch during your scheduled lunchtime in the Tiger Den. Speaking of lunch, Mr. Abbey, it's making me hungry. What is on this week's lunch menu?
All right, Tigers, here we go for this week's lunch menu. Today, we have stuffed crust cheesy bites. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is chicken nuggets with potato wedges. Wednesday, Mrs. Christensen's favorite brunch for lunch, omelet and French toast. Thursday, we're gonna have super nachos. And Friday, how about we try pizza?
All right, Tigers, it's time to recognize more of those amazing Tigers who have been earning Tiger Paw tickets and were selected in this week's drawing. Starting off with kindergarten, we have Javier in Miss Stamp's class, Reese in Mrs. Hurley's class, and Apollo in Mrs. K's class. Nice job, kindergarten.
All right, moving on to our first grade winners. Congratulations to Luke in Ms. DeGroot's room. Brooklyn, you're the winner in Ms. LeClesh's class. Jax, you are the winner in Mrs. Unruh's room. And then Levi, you were selected in Mrs. Nelson's classroom. Nice job, first graders.
All right, moving on to second grade, we have Mason in Mrs. Gortenkamp's class, Maurice in Mrs. Ogle's class, Chris Oliver in Mrs. Papini's room, and Ariel in Mrs. Meek's class. Nice job, second grade.
All right, moving on to our third grade award winners. Ben, you were selected in Mrs. Belmondo's room. Caleb, congratulations, you're the winner in Mrs. Yassine's class. Avery, you're the winner in Mrs. McGowan's class. And then Anastasia, you are the winner in Mrs. Mason's room.
Nice job, third grade. Moving on to fourth grade, we have Mina in Miss Bradley's class, Charlie in Mrs. Moffat's room, Josiah in Mrs. Shireman's class, and last but not least, David in Mrs. Isley's class.
Nice job, fourth graders. And last but not least, our fifth grade campers. All right, Piper, you are the winner in Mr. K's room. Madison, you're the winner in Mrs. Lish's class. And then Beckett, you were selected in Mrs. Heater's room. Congratulations, fifth graders.
All right, winners, when it is convenient for your class, they'll send you to the office to pick up your prize from the Tiger Paw Treasure Chest. Mr. Abby, what's going on with story time this week?
All right, for story time today, Miss Jen, our Shadow Lake librarian, will be reading the story called Stokes. We hope that you enjoy it.
All right, Tigers, we hope you have a great week and a fun and relaxing spring break. And remember,
it's a great day to be a tiger.
Hi, welcome back to Story Time with your librarian, Ms. Jen. I am super excited to share. We just got a brand new book in the library, and that's the story I've chosen to read to you today. Also, for those of you big sports basketball fans with college March Madness going on, this is going to fit right in, and it's called Stokes. All right, the brief career of the NBA's first Black superstar. Here we go. In the last game of the 1957 to 1958 NBA regular season, Maurice Stokes soared and ripped down a rebound. The 6'7" Stokes dribbled past a Minneapolis Lakers defender and led the fast break as the best player on the Cincinnati Royals. Nobody had ever seen a guy his size score, defend, rebound, dribble, and pass so well. Stokes bounced the ball to Jack Twyman, who launched a shot. It banged off the rim, and Stokes muscled inside for the rebound. He went back up quickly and banked the ball off the backboard for a basket. Maurice Stokes had grown up playing basketball on the courts of Pittsburgh. He led Pennsylvania's tiny St. Francis College to the National Invitation Tournament in New York, where he became a fan favorite and was chosen Most Valuable Player. In his first year in the NBA, he led his team in scoring and rebounding and was named Rookie of the Year. His teammates loved playing with him because even though he was a great scorer, he looked to pass first and found them for open shots. He helped everybody get better, said Royals coach Bobby Wanzer. Stokes had entered the league at a time when black players weren't often drafted to professional basketball teams. When they were expected to set screens, grab rebounds, and pass to their white teammates. No one had seen a black player take over professional games the way Stokes did. He was everywhere and did everything. He was the NBA's first black superstar and an all-star 3 years in a row. He broke the NBA's single-season rebounding record in 1956-1957 and was on his way to being one of the game's all-time greats. But that night, playing against the Lakers, his whole life changed. On a drive to the basket, Stokes went up for a shot, and a defender slammed into him in midair. Stokes fell backward and hit his head hard on the floor. He was knocked out for 3 minutes. Medical staff placed smelling salts under his nose, and Stokes came to. He struggled to stand and walked slowly to the Royals bench. Even though he didn't feel great, he returned to the game, finishing with 24 points and 19 rebounds to lead his team to victory. Three days later, Stokes struggled in a playoff loss to the Detroit Pistons. He felt sick, and his teammates thought he might have the flu. But on the team flight back to Cincinnati, Stokes' temperature rose rapidly, and he said he felt like he was going to die. An ambulance rushed him to a hospital where he went into a coma. When he woke, he was paralyzed from the neck down, and doctors didn't know exactly why. He'd gone from being one of the best athletes in the world to not being able to move. Stokes' family hurried to Cincinnati to see him. "Wink your eye if you can recognize us," his mother said. He winked, but when he tried to talk, no words came out. He later said he felt like he'd been cut off from the world. Members of his family stayed with him for months, but eventually they had to return to their jobs in Pittsburgh. Stokes, who had worked so hard at basketball, now put his energy into his physical therapy. In a large tub of warm water, helped by his physical therapist, he stretched his muscles. Gradually, he gained a bit of movement in his arms and legs. Twyman, who lived in Cincinnati in the off-season and visited his teammate in the hospital regularly, was amazed by Stokes' determination. To see the way he conducted himself, he said, "I just stood in awe of him." The two found ways to communicate, with Stokes blinking his eyes once for yes and twice for no. A, B, C, D. Twyman would recite the alphabet. When he got to the right letter, Stokes blinked. A, B, C, D. Twyman started over for the next letter. Using the slow process, they spelled out words, gradually getting faster as the months passed. One of the big challenges they discussed was money. Something had to be done to pay all the hospital bills. That's when Milton Kuchar, a huge basketball fan who ran a hotel in New York's Catskill Mountains, contacted Twyman. Kuchar and Twyman planned the Maurice Stokes benefit game for August 4th, 1959, to raise money for Stokes' medical care. They worried, though, whether enough players would make the trip at their own expense. Over 30 showed up, including greats Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, and Bob Cousy. Spectators, some of whom had driven for hours, crowded around the asphalt court. They got to watch the best players in the world compete to help their friend, the man who had helped change the NBA. Stokes was surprised to hear the game had been such a success that it would be held each year. He continued to work with his speech therapist and slowly regained some of his ability to speak. He read books, listened to music, and worked with clay. He loved having visitors and teammates, and players from opposing teams would come by to see him. They'd share stories and jokes, their laughter echoing down the hall. In August 1966, More than 8 years after his injury, Stokes and Twyman decided the time was right for an airplane trip to a special event. On August 17th, assisted by his friends Russell and Chamberlain, Stokes made his way onto the court at Kuchar's to a tremendous ovation. He had something transcending as a person, Chamberlain said. Everybody loved him. Stokes smiled broadly from the sideline as he watched players from different teams work together to put on a spectacular show. He'd made it back. After the game, friends lined up to hug Maurice, laugh with him, and pose for pictures. He surprised them by handing out pieces of the pottery he'd made. He returned to Kuchar's each summer after that, saying, "When I go to the game, it brings back many fond memories and a deep sense of gratitude." Maurice Stokes' promising basketball career was cut short by a life-changing injury, yet he made an enormous impact. Before him, Black players in the NBA were forced into limited roles, but with his popularity, talent, and leadership, he opened up new opportunities. Maurice Stokes paved the way for the Black superstars who came after him to showcase their full talents and give us the game we love today. And that's the end, my friends. What a wonderful story. That was the first time I'd read it too, so that's exciting. And this book will now be in the library available for checkout. Hope you all have a wonderful day. And remember, it's a great day to be a tiger.